that's I guess my handler, I guess that's what you'd call him, given instructions on what to do to me, and with this long needle-like device, it's about 9 inches long, with a little silver sphere on the end of it. He comes over and jams it up my nasal passage and breaks the bones in my nose. It hurt so bad, I nearly passed out. And then after they finished with all of that, and if you want to call it a procedure, that's okay, but medically I don't ascribe to that being a procedure. It's more like torture to me. So when they finished, I end up in my little bed, and there's blood on the pillow the next morning. And again, many abductees notice they have blood on their pillow, and they can't figure out, why in the world would there be blood on my pillow how would I be bumping my nose? Or in the case of one lady, how did I break my foot in the middle of the night? As this lady asked me, how could I break my foot in the middle of the night when, in a dream? You just can't break your feet in the middle of a dream. But the fact is, she was abducted, and she actually fought against them and resisted them, and they went after her kids. That's what they were there for, and she woke up in the event, tried to defend her children. She kicked at one of them, missed him, and hit the corner of her desk and broke her ankle. That was the reason her foot was broken.
Derrel, when a person is abducted, are they abducted with their clothes that they're wearing?
In most cases, they are abducted with their clothes on, as they are. And I've argued this point with several points with Dr. Clancy at Harvard and Dr. Susan Blackmore in England, and this is where their whole yarn falls apart. And CNN came to my home for 2 days last year, and I told them this, and they were just horrified. I said, the fact is, where these people's story of these alien abductions are nothing more than altered states of consciousness, or we can replicate these experiences with our equipment. I said, let me show you where the story falls apart. First of all, they're saying this has to do with sleep paralysis. Number one, 65% of the events you have abduction take place not at night, and these people are not asleep. In South America, that figure goes to like 93%. So I said, we eliminate the whole thesis of their argument that you're asleep and you're in bed. I said, I was out hunting in my event when I was 12 years, a little over, almost 13 years old, in the desert with a .22 rifle when I was encountered. I said, so that doesn't mean anything. But these people will often be taken to a craft or whatever it is, whatever that thing is. It appears to be a craft. It's usually a circular room if you don't see how you get in. If you get to see it, it's usually a UFO, what some people might refer to as a flying saucer. But the point is that once you're in there, they, like a Nazi war camp or any other camp like that, take your clothes off and make you completely compliant. It's just awful what they do. And they do this so that, number one, you basically lose all self-esteem that you have, and it's just tantamount to brainwashing, in my opinion.
When you were hunting, like you say, did you manage to get a shot off that alien? This was funny. I was walking along, and this is another good point that you brought up previously. I'm hunting, and all of a sudden, what I don't realize is I've just been brought back and dropped off in the same location I was picked up. And this is important for your listeners to know, that the reason most people can't remember when they're abducted or if they really had anything is because when they pick you up in one location, in bed or otherwise, and it's easier to do if they do this in bed because you just fall back asleep. But when you're outside hunting and they pick me up in the event, I don't realize what's going on. Somehow I got zapped, and I've got missing time now. And, you've got a couple hours missing time, and then all of a sudden I'm back. They put you in the back exact same spot. And this creates, for those of you that are hypnotists, you will hopefully understand what this means. This is one of the methods you use to induce amnesia. If you place a person in an exact same position they were before, and you basically take the time there, and just by physically locating them like that and switching them on very quickly, they won't remember. They'll connect the last event of that position, which was, of course, before the event.
So they'll realize there's a glitch here, but they don't get it. They'll just think, something's wrong. I don't know what the problem is. You just keep hunting or whatever. The problem is I'm standing there with a .22 rifle with 17 rounds in it, hunting like I always do, and there's the entity walking away from me. I woke up too early, and I can see him walking away. And it's the same cosmic airhead that got me when I was 2. Now, here I am, not in bed asleep. I didn't wake up in this event like I did some of them, and here I am wide awake watching this thing walk away from me. And I thought, what in the world is that? And as soon as I thought it, remember I told you they can hear what you think, he turns his head around. He's about 50 feet away, 50, 60 feet away. And, I mean, he is absolutely horrified. It's the first time I've ever seen emotion on his face.
Really? Excellent.
Yeah, because now he realizes I have a gun and I'm awake. He thinks I might shoot him. I know what he's thinking. He's actually scared I'm going to shoot him. Well, first of all, since I'm like almost 13 years old, I've never shot anybody, never done anything like that, so it's not likely that's going to happen. But he doesn't know that. And he takes off running, and I'm still standing there aghast that I'm actually seeing something that I thought was a dream, now in 3D physically, and here I am with a gun, How unreal can this be? So he runs and starts running through the brush and around through this there's some pretty heavy brush out there.
Yeah.
And unbeknownst to me, how they disappear and what they do is he finally at some point disappears. And I get to thinking as I start running after, looking for where he's at. And the thing that convinced me that the event was totally real, besides the fact that I'm watching it and there in a hot desert, is this. His footprints are there in the sand. Now, if I imagined that, or I dreamed it, or I'm still hallucinating, or whatever, why is his footprints in the sand? Why am I following footprints that don't exist in the middle of the desert?
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm just happy to hear that you had one of them dudes on the run.
Well, that gave me a hint years later. In 1992, I decided to do an experiment that a couple of people thought was brilliant, and others are still scratching their heads. I'm not sure whether it was or wasn't. I used to be in the intelligence community, and I've looked at this phenomena very carefully. And the reason some of my views differ a little bit from other people is this. When I put my police hat on, it doesn't care what your story is. In fact, it suspects you just as well as them. I mean, it's only interested in evidence. When I put my intelligence hat on, it looks at huge patterns, at things that people don't think about. It looks for, in the intelligence community, if, for instance, let's give an example here, and this has happened in some cases. Let's say you and I are at dinner. I'm, let's say, still in the Central Intelligence Agency back in the 70s. And all of a sudden, you and I are having lunch, and all of a sudden, you start spouting off information that is top secret and only I should know, or someone in the community,
all right,
in the intelligence community. And you don't know any better. And you're just spouting all this stuff off of, all these wonderful things. Now, do you think you might become a person of interest? Forever, your life will change at that point, because the very first thing I'm going to do is turn that in. And we're going to have to find out where that leak came from. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make any difference. You don't know how you got the information. Right. The fact is, you do have the information. Well, you become a threat.
Okay, well, let me ask you something. Since you've been abducted, have you noticed, has your IQ increased at all?
I hope so. I could use a few extra points.
Okay.
People, abductees I've talked to do feel like that their intelligence has increased. Now, again, some of my esteemed colleagues on the other side of the aisle, so to speak, some of them are, in my opinion, cosmic airheads, think that the aliens come here to save the planet, fix the ozone hole, and do all kinds of other wonderful things, increase my IQ, and so on, which I wish they'd hurry up and do a little better job. Yeah. But in the event that that does happen, my suspicions are that, based on my training and in my events, is that these are often things that don't have to do with the alien per se trying to help us. Yeah. It has to do with survival instincts and how you develop. Mm-hmm. and it activates part of your life that you never thought you were ever going to have to use, and you do that real well.
Okay.
And some people, unfortunately, don't do well at all.
All right.
We've got people. Basically, there's three kinds of